What a feeling and what a 44-point victory for Duke over Notre Dame. Blue Devils hit 100 points. They're absolutely rolling and proving why Duke is the number one team in basketball.
Hi, everybody. Dick Vitale. Hey, make sure you listen, man, to Locked On Blue Devils with J.J. Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson. So great to have you here with us today on our show as we talk about Duke basketball's win over Notre Dame by a score of 100-56. 44-point victory for the Blue Devils, a game in which Duke led by 30-plus at halftime. We'll break it all down with our guy, Kevin Connelly of Ball Durham, on today's show. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Be sure to leave us a rating and a 5-star written review. Go ahead and take a moment, if you will, and watch us each and every day on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like this video. Share it with your friends. Your support means so much to us with what we're doing here at Locked On Blue Devils. So I appreciate everybody being a part of the community that we've got of all Duke fans here. So a big win once again for Duke as they knock off Notre Dame, scoring 100 points. And I got to bring my guy, Kevin Connelly, on into today's show as Duke had 6 different players in double figures. They were up 20-4 very early in this one. The game absolutely got away from Duke, and Kevin, you were one of many people, I'm sure, who at halftime said, I'm done with this. This is good. This is complete. This is finished.
Yeah, right. Kentucky was in a dogfight. Indiana Northwestern was a great game. Was tuned into a little of NC State and Virginia.
Yeah, there's NBA happening. I mean, there are so many other things that could occupy your attention than what was unfolding with Duke.
Because, JJ, I even texted you at halftime, and I said Caden Boozer should not play 1 second in the second half. Now, he did. He got his double-double. Again, he finishes 24 and 13. Didn't play much in the second half, but did get a little time out there. But, JJ, this game was over at the first time out. I mean, I think it was 14-2 or 16-4 or something like that, and it was like, all right, let's wrap this thing up. Cross your fingers. Nobody gets hurt. Nobody turns an ankle. Nobody gets a jammed finger or something, and let's move on because, Notre Dame, a Marcus Burton injury derailed their season. I don't know if they would have been an NCAA tournament team. They probably would not have, but him being injured really derailed their season.
Everybody wanted to see play this year. Yeah,
exactly. And this is a couple years in a row now, I think, where his season has been cut short due to injury. Notre Dame did not put a power conference team out there on the floor tonight. And it showed. I mean, even being at home, they couldn't stand to be on the same floor as Duke. Harrelson was out injured with an ankle injury. Shrewsbury was awful. Now, I do think that's one positive we can look at for Duke, right? I think there are very few things we can take away from this game. I think, again, the defense that Duke put on the other team's best player is certainly worth talking about and notable. I know he was the only option for Notre Dame, but still being able to shut him down, I thought was big. This game was over from the jump, literally. And it was a cruise control. And would there have been a hangover? Maybe, but not with this team, not with the team that they were playing either.
Yeah, that's the conversation, though, right? Like, is there going to be a hangover? And that just wasn't the case, like you said. And I think it's fair to question that when you think about these are college athletes, as I love the coffee mug there for people watching us here on YouTube. But you think about the fact that it's a Duke team coming off a win over the number one team in the country. Now they are ranked number one. And, John Scheyer talked a lot about the business-like mindset of this team. People want to talk about the fact that they did not travel back home to Durham in between games. They went
Which I think was important. I think that's important. Yeah.
They just treated it like a big business trip, the same way they operated in that trip out to California. And here you go. It's a Duke team that's playing like not only the number one team, Kevin, but the number one defense in this. I mean, the halftime numbers when Caden Boozer has nearly outscored Notre Dame himself. Like, you got to give Duke credit for that because they weren't getting lazy. They weren't giving up a lot of these open, uncontested looks and whatnot. Like, they really cared. and it's Notre Dame. Like, you're going to win this game, and Duke showed they really cared.
Yeah, and I said the hangover, and yes, that's certainly one thing. You get the huge win over Michigan, and also not necessarily a hangover, but also you could start looking ahead a little bit. You could start looking right through the Irish, and you see a ranked team on your schedule at home, and what could determine the number one seed in the ACC tournament, and who wins the ACC regular season championship. So very easy to just overlook the Irish. You were able to hang out in Chicago, able to have some fun out there. And let me tell you, that trip, those couple of days out in Chicago were a lot more fun after you beat Michigan than if you would have lost. So
such a great point. Yeah.
You're able to let loose. You're able to have fun. And hey, they got their prep in. They practiced in the Bulls training facility. They practiced at Wintrust Arena where DePaul University plays and the Chicago Sky play. And then they made the trip over to South Bend, and they left no doubt from the opening tip in this game against Notre Dame.
That's a good point that you made there, Kevin, because I really didn't even think about that. But you're right. It wasn't like as soon as the game against Michigan went final, they decided, you know what, we're going to go to Chicago on the way to Notre Dame. Like, this was planned ahead of time. And, that just wouldn't have been as enjoyable, I would expect, if you'd be coming into this after a Michigan loss. Good point by you, man.
Yeah, I don't know if you would have seen the social media posts of them. I know your listeners in Chicago and Illinois are probably going to come from me, but at a hot dog establishment, right. I can't remember the name of it. I believe it's a famous hot dog place in Chicago.
Yeah, Jeff Fedotin gave us the rundown earlier this week on the show. I was unfamiliar as well, but it's a staple, and John Scheyer knew that. So,
well, so like he got to spend some time in his home state near his hometown. Like the vibes are high when you do that. And you just beat the number one team in the country, and you know you're going to be the number one team in the country come Monday. So I'm sure it was a ton of fun. And the best thing is that you're able to have your fun, you're able to have that team bonding experience, and you're able to go take care of business. Because had you not won on Saturday, or had you not won against Notre Dame, those trips could leave a sour taste in your mouth.
Duke wins by 44. Cam Boozer leads the way, 24 points, 13 rebounds, a couple of assists. He's very clearly the nation's player of the year. Just want to make sure that people actually go ahead and vote the way that they should and make that happen, as there continues to be a discussion about the number one pick. But it's like, this is obvious. This is Boozer's award to give to the man. You mentioned nearly having the double-double at halftime with 20 points and 9 rebounds. That means he finished with 4 points, 4 rebounds in the second half, and it didn't matter. But, Cameron Boozer, what a week it's been for him, playing so well in the game against Michigan, making the winning plays down the stretch, and then putting together a performance like this, Kev.
Well, yeah, I'll start with like that Michigan game first, and I'm not going to dive into what he really did, but I'll tell you what he did confirmed that he was the National Player of the Year. Sure, AJ DeBonsa is going to go on a run here for BYU, and I mean, he was matched up against one of his counterparts for this award in Jackson Lendeborg, and you saw what Cam was able to do specifically in that second half. So, like, that Michigan game, I think, cemented him as the National Player of the Year.
You texted me early in the game about how well Lendeborg was playing, man, and I was like, oh my goodness, this guy is taking over, and then Cam matched it.
Yeah, Lendeborg, I mean, he was on fire to start the game in the first half, and I think Duke cut off the head of the snake, and Elliot Cadeau made him really uncomfortable, and he wasn't allowed to set up guys like Yaxel and the rest of that talented Michigan team to really get their offense going. So I think that was the big part of that game. But for Cam here, you look in the second half, and he plays 7 minutes. Now, maybe that's 5 minutes too many for my liking, but you look down the rest of the –
That's still so silly to say, Kevin. Against Notre Dame, he played just 7 minutes. It's numbers like that just show how dominant of a victim. Cam Boozer, who's been playing like every minute of the whole season for Duke, you only need him out there for 7. And like to your point, didn't need him to play at all, really.
And then he didn't play the final 13 minutes, which I thought was really important. Isaiah Evans didn't play the last 8 minutes of this game. Pat Ngongba didn't play the last 7 minutes of this game. And I think I texted you at the end of the first half. I'm gonna pull up the text. I said Caden, Darren, Dame, Nick, Maliq with some Jack Scott and Cam Sheffield sprinkled in. That should be the rotation in the second half. Now,
pretty much what we got.
Was that going to be the full case? No, probably not. With Jack Scott and Cam Sheffield getting minutes late. But it was, for the most part, with some of those big guns getting off their feet, get them out of harm's way. Because, JJ, we saw in this game, you can get hurt on the bench. Yeah. You could have gotten hurt on the bench. So maybe they just should have been sent right back to the locker room. But
shout out to Coach Micah Shrewsbury and whatever the that injury was that he sustained. That was strange.
They're saying Achilles. Achilles.
No.
That's not good. No.
Oh, man, tough.
Adding injury to insult for this season for Notre Dame.
No kidding. Let's keep looking at the box score and some of those other things with Duke and Notre Dame specifically, and we'll do that on the other side of this break.
I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. South Carolina rolled past Ole Miss 85-48 to clinch a share of the SEC regular season title and lock down the number 1 seed in the conference tournament. The Gamecocks extended their win streak over Ole Miss to 21 straight. UCLA dominated Wisconsin 80-60 to secure its first outright Big Ten regular season championship in program history. The Bruins improved to 27-1 overall and remain unbeaten in conference play. And number 12 TCU stormed back from a 13-point fourth quarter deficit to beat Iowa State 80-73. The Horned Frogs now sit alone atop the Big 12 standings and are 1 win away from clinching another regular season conference crown. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Have you ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? Well, FanDuel's giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. You're going to get a big payout if you do. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Sounds incredible. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA and a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Okay, we keep moving here on the show. My guy, Kevin Connelly from Ball Durham, hanging out with me here. And Kev, you know we do it each and every game. We got to look at this box score for the Blue Devils. So many amazing numbers to look at here. 100-56, the final score for Duke. How about plus 22 in the rebounding department? 49-27 the edge. Nearly 50 rebounds for a Duke team that absolutely cleaned up the glass here against Notre Dame.
Well, there were a lot of missed shots, and they
no
led
doubt.
to a lot of those rebounds. But like you saw from the early going, I mean, Duke had the clear size advantage. JJ, I mean, you look right there, the first 5 players of Notre Dame's stats, and that's was their starting 5. And I know this team is injured, but like only 3 names stood out to me.
Yeah.
That really was like, oh, okay, I kind of know that name from watching some of Notre Dame this year, but like not really. So like it was clear Duke knew they had an advantage. They just kept feeding Cam Boozer inside. Pat Ngongba got going a little bit. Didn't love the 2 first half fouls from Ngongba and Brown. I think that's probably my only critique of this game. Like
foul trouble. They got to figure that out because both finished with 4 fouls.
Yeah, like that can't happen, especially in a game like this where you're just overwhelming the other team. But
Pat only finished with 15 minutes. And some of it, like to your point, wasn't because Duke was winning by 44. He only played 15 minutes, had great numbers, but he was in foul trouble.
Yeah. And I think the 1 foul might have come on the perimeter, his first. I can't remember if it was his first foul or his second foul in the first half. And it was just unnecessary. It's like, what are you doing there? Like there's no need for that. But yeah, didn't love him and Maliq Brown getting the 2 fouls in that first half in a game like this where it's like, hey guys, we're dominating this game. We need you available and out there on the floor. So I think that's my really only critique of this team in this game. But yeah, you look at the rebounding numbers. You look at how they were able to limit turnovers only with 9. They forced 15. They shot it well from the line. They shot it well from the field. They shot it well from 3-point range, especially in that first half. So listen, JJ, I know we still got to have some time here on the podcast, but this was a game where it was a pleasure to watch. And you move on to Saturday afternoon and a really big one against Virginia.
Yeah, you
take your win, take your ball, and go home.
Yeah, that's the bigger story is kind of moving on. But there are more numbers I've got to point out here for the people, Kevin. And I was going to let you have this moment, but I'll take it gladly. You know where I'm going.
I think I do know where you're
going.
Because
I can't believe this. 19 fast break points?
Yep.
Yeah, we've had some outings where you're telling me it's okay when there were only 4 or 6. I mean, there have been several games where Duke's offense looks great, and they're not getting out. 19, nearly a fifth of their points, man.
I was happy
out and running.
JJ, I know you wanted to get on that, and I know when you look at the individual player stats, I know you want to.
There's another guy I want to go. Yep,
bad, and I'm letting you have it. I'm letting you have the fast break points, and I'm letting you talk all you want about this one player.
Yeah, about Darren Harris, man. About 16 points, a career high 16 points, I might add. Previously had that career high 15 against Army a little bit earlier this season. 6 of 6. From the free throw line for Darren. Dude, late in the second half, he's putting his body out on the line, diving for loose balls, which is something that Scheyer has been complimentary of with Darren throughout the season. I mean, didn't play at all in the Michigan game. And there have been moments where it's like, yeah, he's just not ready for something like this or at this level. And yet it doesn't deter him one bit. When he's out there, he's going to do what he can to take advantage of the moment. And that was just really, really cool to see, man. And he shoots it like the guy is a shooter, and if he gets going, it's really fun to watch.
Listen, I think there's a couple of things here, right? You mentioned the Michigan game; he doesn't play. I think in the Michigan game, you saw a postseason rotation. You saw what it's going to look like in the ACC tournament, in the NCAA tournament. But on the other hand, for Darren Harris, when you get an opportunity, you have to make the most of it.
Yeah.
You have to leave an impression. Now, did this game leave a big enough impression on Jon Scheyer? And the matchups could be different, who knows? But did it leave a big enough impression on Jon Scheyer to say, hey, he deserves some minutes against Virginia, He deserves to get a 4-minute segment. And if he performs well in that 4-minute segment, well, maybe he gets 2 minutes later in the half or something like that. So anytime he's out there on the court, he is going to give 115% to try to make a positive impact and positive impression, because JJ, we kind of saw this last year with Caleb Foster, right? At this time last year, I don't necessarily know if we thought Caleb Foster was going to emerge back into the rotation. And when he got minutes, you look at that Illinois game, the blowout in Madison Square Garden, where he played well, and there were other games where he played well, and all of a sudden now he was the 10th man, and he ended up being the 7th man and got some time in the NCAA tournament. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen with Darren Harris, but I am saying when he's given the opportunity in blowouts like this, he has to make an impact if he even wants to have that chance, and he did that tonight.
And I think he'll continue to at least give all-out effort. It's one thing when you're out there and the shots just aren't falling from night to night, and if that's the case, it sucks, but you got to be able to kind of go back to your guys that have been there throughout the season, and I'm sure there are several people that still have already written him off for, transferring after the year and moving on. And it's too early to do those things and want to continue to celebrate a 26-2 basketball team that's here. I'm pumped for the guy that he's played so well in this game. It's a career high. Yes, it's an absolute beatdown, but I loved it that he's getting a steal late to go to the free throw line and, continue to get Duke to the 100 mark. He's the one that scored to make that happen. So just all in all, really special to see Darren play so well in moments like that. 6 total guys in double figures, Kevin. We mentioned Cam. Obviously, Darren Harris is one of those guys. Ngongba finishes with 13 and just 15 minutes of action because of the foul trouble. And then Caden Boozer, Isaiah Evans, Caleb Foster, your backcourt, each finished in double figures as well.
Yeah, listen, I think one guy might have to start talking about a little bit more is Caden Boozer, because I thought he quietly played a really good game against Michigan.
Yeah.
And I mean, here tonight,
because he didn't score, but it wasn't disastrous. There were games earlier in the year where he would only play 5 or 6, 7 minutes if it wasn't going well, and that just wasn't the case this time around against Michigan. Played 17.
Yeah, that's why it was quiet. Like he didn't score, but I thought he impacted the game in some other ways. I thought his defense was fine. So I thought he had a really quiet, good game against Michigan. But here tonight, a lot of minutes in the second half. He took advantage of them. Now, Caden Boozer is a guy who I still think is going to have that 10 to 15 minutes per game in some big marquee games. But tonight, seeing him get to 10 points, I think that was a well-deserved kind of benchmark and milestone in this game. Kind of played well against Michigan, got the opportunity to get some shots up in the second half against Notre Dame, and they went in for him.
That's a good thought. And now it's a Duke team that has Virginia coming to town this weekend. Really big test for the Blue Devils, who look for a very impressive win from inside Cameron Indoor Stadium. Let's get set to talk about that game and so much more when Locked On Blue Devils continues here in a moment. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. That's right. Game Time is the absolute best place in the whole wide world when you're looking for tickets. The biggest stretch of college basketball season is almost here. Buzzer beaters, bracket busters, and those unforgettable moments that everyone's talking about the next day. Being there live for something just like that, it's bucket list stuff. The hard part is always actually getting tickets. Long waiting queues, prices jumping at checkout, and surprise fees. That's just not fun. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage back with constant innovation. It's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. The Game Time guarantee means 100% legitimate tickets delivered on time at the best price. And the best part, fees are included in the price you see. What you see is what you pay, period. No surprises. I love being able to follow teams in the app and get alerts when news deals drop so I can see Duke basketball tickets when they're looking great and whatnot. No stress, no guesswork. Just a smooth experience from start to finish. Take the guesswork out of buying college basketball tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, all you got to do, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Game Time is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. How about our friends over at 5 Hour Energy? Welcome to 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set. The flavors are ready. And I've got my number one pick ready to go for the 5 Hour Energy Draft. I just absolutely love that Fruity Rainbow. Bright blend of assorted fruit candy flavors, sweet layered fruit notes in every sip, playful multi-fruit taste profile. It's smooth and easy drinking texture. I think it's the absolute best, and that's my favorite to go to. I hope that it wins this big time draft. 5 Hour Energy shots give you a boost with zero sugar. Has a lot of upcoming flavor innovations planned as well. So find the new favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Again, 5hourenergy.com or check it out on Amazon. 5 Hour Energy is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Last segment today, JJ Jackson hanging out with my pal Kevin Connelly from Ball Durham. We're talking Duke and the win over Notre Dame, and now Duke gets set for a big one coming up on Saturday when they host the Virginia Cavaliers, who the same night you've got Duke beating Notre Dame, Virginia is playing NC State and earning a very impressive win over an NC State team that's bound for the NCAA tournament. So it's setting up a really, really big contest against the nation's number 11 team and a team in which has only lost 3 games this whole year, Kev.
2 in ACC play, 1 on the road in triple overtime, and the other they kind of squandered away against North Carolina. They ended up losing by 5 in that game, and they led by as many as 16, and that was a game at home. So I think Virginia and what Ryan Odom has done in his first year, they have to be the best team in the country that no one really talks about. Now, I'm sure other fans of other teams would come at me, and a Vanderbilt fan would say, hey, what about us? And you know, Tennessee and teams like that. But the fact that Virginia, after the disastrous year they had a year ago where they were just horrific, and they get Ryan Odom to be the full-time head coach, and the success he has had in year 1 has been incredible to watch. I mean, 25-3, 13-2 in the ACC. Now, I feel like every ACC record, we have to say, comes with a little bit of an asterisk because it's not the ACC schedule we're accustomed to.
Yeah.
But this is a Virginia team that also kind of built the same schedule as Duke in terms of a non-conference game late in the year. And they rallied from behind on a neutral floor to beat Ohio State a couple of weeks ago. So this is a Virginia team that seems battle-tested, right? I mean, they won at Louisville. They won at SMU. So they've won some games. They beat Miami. They just demolished NC State. So it's setting up to be a really good one inside Cameron on Saturday afternoon. Excited to watch.
Yeah, then I mean, if you want to look at the race here with Duke having just one loss in the conference, Virginia's got two. If they win, then Virginia would have obviously the head-to-head tiebreaker over Duke. But it's not over. I mean, there's still 1 week left to go, and it's Duke who's playing North Carolina and NC State, and then Virginia, who's got Virginia Tech and I believe Wake Forest is the
both
other opponent that they've got. Both, so this is it. I mean, this is pivotal time for Duke to take care of business here.
Yeah, it is. And again, you just outlined it. I know there's still games to be played, but it does feel like this is the game for Duke if they are going to win the ACC outright. To have that head-to-head tiebreaker win over Virginia, because it's going to be huge. Because, like you mentioned, a road game at NC State, mind you, a quick turnaround on Big Monday.
That's
that
tough.
I know, and NC State. I know, JJ, you said that they're going to be in the field. I feel like they probably should be in the field, but 19-9, 10-5, like they're going to want to finish strong here as well to kind of cement themselves as an NCAA tournament team. So, what better way to do it than a win over Duke? And North Carolina, I know Caleb Wilson has said he plans to be back for that game. I guess we'll have to wait and see if North Carolina really wants to put him out there for a regular season game and not hold him back a couple of more days for the ACC tournament. But it's going to be an interesting stretch here, down the stretch for Duke with 3 tough games. I think we talked about when the ACC schedule first came out that this end to the season could be a little bit difficult. I don't know if we necessarily thought that Duke and Virginia, the outcome of this game could determine who wins the ACC regular season race. But here we are on February 24th, 25th. Could decide it.
And everybody's having the conversation about, North Carolina and Louisville, to your point, right after Duke in the preseason as to what it could look like. And here we are with Virginia holding their own and being right up there towards the top. So it's going to be a big one.
I'll just add one point to this because I know Duke fans were pretty irate about it last year that Pat Kelsey got the ACC Coach of the Year over John Scheyer for what he was able to do with Duke. Listen, is that going to happen again?
Brace yourselves, you're saying? Yeah.
I don't know, but I do think it might be a brace yourself, even if Duke wins this game, given where Virginia was as a program a year ago and where they are right now, I guess in the driver's seat to at least finish second in the conference. Could Ryan Odom be the ACC Coach of the Year over John Scheyer? Because the tough thing about winning ACC Coach of the Year as the Duke basketball head coach, the expectation is there for you to win. Duke was picked to finish first in the conference. And if they finish first, you can't exceed.
Congrats, you did what you were supposed to do. Yeah.
Exactly. And Virginia, off the top of my head, I don't know where they were picked to finish in the conference, but if they were to finish second, I know they weren't picked to finish second, so they would have exceeded those expectations. So I'm not advocating for Ryan Odom over John Scheyer. I actually think this year it should be John Scheyer, and last year I was in Pat Kelsey's boat. But I will say brace yourself, especially depending on the outcome of Saturday's game.
Yeah, we'll start to make the argument for him. I mean, your entire starting 5 gets drafted into the NBA, and you're able to put together a team like this and a run like this and make winning moves down the stretch and the schedule, all the things. That's a conversation for another day. I'm excited for this game on Saturday. Kevin, I know that you're going to be following along. Tell us about Ball Durham and how people can support you, bro.
Yeah, come read us over at balldurham.com. We got all the latest on Duke basketball. So I know everyone loves Duke basketball. It's the best time of year now in college basketball. Even the casuals are coming over, even though we do this 24/7. So Ball Durham should be your first stop shop for all things Duke basketball as we approach March Madness.
Good to see you, Kev. We'll talk soon, okay?
Thanks, JJ.
All right, that's Kevin Connelly joining us here on today's episode of Locked on Blue Devils. That's going to do it for our show today, friends. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in to the program. Be sure to subscribe to us for free wherever it is that you get your podcasts and subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you check out our Everydayer Club by clicking on the link down in the show notes below. If you want access to an ad-free version of Locked On Blue Devils and so much more, I'd highly recommend considering the Everydayer Club. It's an awesome move for you to make. That'll do it for today's show. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you again tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.